All right, boys. We made it back to a afternoon edition of Dogging It, and I got two great guests. Mike Panozzo of Billiards Digest, who's always with us, and Sam. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Sam, so you got to bear with me.
Bajnaid. Yes, Sam
Bajnaid
Bajnaid.
That's neat.
Yes,
of Q Strokers Arabia. How are you,
that's
Sam?
right. Very good, very good. Glad to be here.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and jumping in to do a World Cup of Pool recap edition. This is always my one of my favorite events, if not the favorite event of the year. I like the Scotch doubles. I like the you can see a little bit of drama between teammates and discussing shots and really get a perspective onto what each player's thinking. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a great event. I mean, it is exciting. It's not the drama is not World Championship drama. It's not Moscone Cup drama. It's a different kind of event that makes it special. I think it's that nation against nation, and two players instead of just one, and the Scotch double format, the alternating shots. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch for sure.
It is. It's the most famous stage that players play for their countries rather than their own names, and how
Yeah,
brutal it is. People come and fly, and they get one shot and one shot only, one loss, and you're out. So it's brutal for teams like we have
yeah,
Canada and the rest. Yeah.
yeah.
So
There's four teams at the airport right now.
Yeah, I mean
that's brutal.
it's winter break 9 ball, one on the spot, and
Race to seven.
race to seven. Yeah, I mean it doesn't get that much tougher than that, especially from a
Yeah,
psychological standpoint. Because I mean, especially if it's winter break, at least if you have the alternating break, like they're not gonna go and punish you, or you're not gonna get in too deep of a hole without having another swing at it. But that winter break, I mean, one's gonna cost you like three at least, boys, and that's halfway going to seven, or at least close
yeah.
to it.
Right.
And we saw that today with the matchups, which were a little bit one sided to start with, and with winter breaks, the other teams really never got many chances to get into it. Um, yeah, there were some. It all went pretty much according to form today, right?
I want to touch base on just something you brought up, Sam. Like you mentioned, the prestige of guys going and playing for their country. Like, is that the same feeling that you get from other players on like across the world? That it's a lot more that patriotic pride.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I mean, this is how this game is treated here, where we live. I mean, even though they go for the World Pool Championship, still it's about the country. It's the federation that sends these people out there and to play. But when you go to the World Cup of Pool, then it's just out there. It is the country's name that's on the scoreboard and on the inlays, and
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's
it is what
100% flag waving. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like
yeah,
that old saying, isn't it, boys? Like you play for the name on front of your jersey, not the name on the back, right?
right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
And we've seen it time and time again. I really like it. I think it really allows. I don't know if they're always the two best players, but it allows two great players from a country or continent or whatever to go and represent. And the dynamic is just completely different. It started off today with I think it was Germany, the defending
Yeah,
champions,
Yeah.
taking on who was
New
it? New
Zealand.
Zealand. Yeah,
Yeah,
and what really ended up being a day full of chalk. I mean, to put it quietly, the Germans looked like they were just cruising right out the gate.
yeah. It's you expected a little more fight back from New Zealand because Mark Edwards was a good player. They looked on paper like they could have a decent type of team, um, but it didn't hold up very well.
They
And the
they
same
they
with
had
Canada, right?
they had a slight chance to come back to the game. I mean, Matt Edward tried his best to tame his teammate, who was uncomfortable all throughout the game. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he feeling the pressure, and it's understandable. I
yeah,
mean, and they had. I'm not sure if it was it 4-1 when they had a chance to make it 4-2, but then they missed out on a ball, and I think and it went 5-1, and it went south from there.
I mean, it doesn't take long to go south when you're going to 7 and you're that kind of hole, especially with that winter break format, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, at least
Right.
if you know you're going to get another chance, that's one thing. But I mean, you never know when that one mistake could be your last, or at least be in a position where it's already too far gone, and you have just so many different aspects of pressure. Right? You have the 4-inch pockets, you have the slick cloth, you have knowing you're on a matchroom event and it's being broadcast all over the world. But then
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I've been building up for all these weeks and months leading up to it, and then oh hell, it's 5-0 and we're toast.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, if you're the underdog, you can't miss a mistake. You just can't. And you kind of you kind of see it in the faces of the teams that are underdogs when they get down a little bit in a format like this. You can see it kind of in their face, like, geez, we're going home tomorrow. There's not much opportunity there, and if you get a chance at the table, you got to take advantage of it. Um,
Sure.
I did see I wanted, there was someone who brought up this would be a great format for the Olympics, and it's an interesting point. We talked about the format a little bit going into this, how much we enjoy it, especially from a country versus country standpoint. Um, this would be a really cool format for even the World Games, which is coming up in next month in Alabama, which is every 4 years. It's Pool's version of the Olympics, right?
right,
And it's just individual nine ball, small field. I think they would. It's a good point that it would probably be a more interesting, maybe more spectator friendly event if it was the Scotch doubles teams. You saw two
Right.
players from each country. I don't know if it gets into a cost issue then with people like the World Games, and they only
right.
they have to limit how many athletes they bring in and pay for and yada yada. But it's a good point. I think it would be a really good format for an international World Games type of competition. What do you think, Sam?
Uh, I think having a Scotch double format is uh, alongside a single player format is okay. I mean, having the Scotch double just alone in the Olympics, I think takes away from the pool as we want it, because Scotch double is a totally different dynamics. It's the alpha and the leader and the second player who's adhering to be the complementary side of the team, right?
Yeah,
But we still want to see that one-on-one hard on. I think in the Olympics it's just a great stage to see our sport like at its best, and that is, in my opinion, when it's a single player going
yeah,
against
good point.
another.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. As much as I enjoy the Scotch doubles format, and I'm a big fan of it. I just think it adds more flavor to the game than what we're used to seeing, right? And I love the one-on-one and the rivalries and storylines that can go and come from there, right? Because you have potentials of like a Shane versus Filler, final, or just all different kind of storylines you can go and choose and go and develop from an individual standpoint. But yeah, I really like the way that they go and handle it. It seemed like I know they were kind of scrambling to fill in a couple of spots late. I
Yeah,
expected more fight out of New Zealand myself. It's kind of I figure like when I hear short race, nine ball, and winter break, I think, well, these are the world's elite players, and so it's gambling and anything can go and happen. But it was anything but gambling today, boys, because from the very from the very beginning, it was nothing but chalk, and it started off with Team Germany. And who was the second matchup from the day
It
after
was
that?
Chinese
And
Taipei and
yeah,
Argentina,
the Co
yeah,
Brothers.
that
the
was an
Ko
interesting
brothers.
matchup, and I got a chance to watch quite a bit of that one. It looked like Ko Ping Yu was picking up right where he picked up from the UK Open. Ko Ping Chung seemed to struggle a little bit, and the Argentinians, man, they Costo could just never get any kind of rhythm at all. It kind of reminded me a lot of the Canadians, in that every time they would get a window and you think, okay, maybe they can go and make a move, and maybe there might be an upset, they're going and shooting themselves in the foot. And
Yeah,
I mean, the Co brothers are not the ones you want to go and do that against.
That's right. However, the Ko brothers, on the contrary, they're very popular here in the region, and they're very much loved, and their game is very much looked up. Uh, it seems that they haven't gotten to where they were before the pandemic. I don't know, maybe it's less competition. Yeah, they're coming right back at it. I mean, today we were expecting a bit more from the Cole brothers, at least in terms of harmony and in terms of gameplay. There was some real unnecessary, unforced errors from Copenhagen and also from Copenhagen, where it was, I don't know, miscalculating the slide on the table, or maybe it's just first game jitters. But towards the end, they picked up, and I'm sure they will just keep on picking up their game throughout this competition, and I can see them going very deep in this tournament.
Well, let's talk about that because they're going to be on deck facing a German team, which is one half of the guy who was in the final last year and the guy who's been winning everything on earth, and Josh Filler and Thorsten Homan.
Yeah.
After watching them this morning, Sam, I mean, who would you like in that matchup?
uh, Germany seemed James, very, very strong, and it's like a very solid team. I mean, last year when they won it, it was Joshua and Christoph, I believe,
Right,
Yeah.
uh, and
someone we
and
never
and
heard of before.
exactly,
Yeah,
in who wasn't really up to the
Haven't seen
level of,
since.
huh?
Haven't seen since.
yeah,
But then again, this year they have Torsten Holman, who's really seasoned, and he's no stranger to this kind of events and this kind of pressure. So uh, Germany looks strong. I mean, I
Yeah.
look forward to this Chinese Taipei in Germany,
well,
and
yeah. I mean, I want to ask you, Mike, because Sam mentioned about experience, but I don't see Thorson as that guy having a whole lot of experience on these matchroom stages. He's always been kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Europeans, and always being left off Mosconi Cup consideration.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Never really getting the respect he deserves. Where maybe he should have been on this stage for many, many years, and he hasn't been.
Yeah. No, that's true, and he'd be the first one to tell you that it stung for a long time. But he's still seasoned enough and such a good player, and has really played well in the last year and a half. I mean, I think he's put in some good performances. Still plays solid pool. So, and knowing that he's playing with the most dangerous guy in the world certainly helps. I think they're a good. I think they're actually kind of a good team together. Torsten's pretty measured and pretty calm, and is older and has I'm sure he's got Josh's respect. I mean, anybody who grew up playing in Germany had the respect of Torsten Homan was. So I think that that's a really good matchup for them. I like the Cole brothers too. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next match. I think that the Cole brothers, it's race to 7, winner breaks.
Mhm.
But even if they win the leg, Josh can only break 4 times, right?
Right,
So,
right.
so just by that in itself, there's a little bit of a sliver of a window in there that they would have to love knowing that they have, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I think it could be a great match. It's a race to 7, winner breaks. It's pretty cutthroat this early in the tournament.
It
Yeah, it's pretty
is.
brutal for them to have to go and face each other right now. I mean, I would think on that left side of the bracket, besides Spain, Chinese Taipei could easily be a one. I don't know how you can go
Right.
and give Germany a one when the defending. I mean, it's not even the same team from last year, but I get you got Josh, and you got to give respect there. But I tell you,
Well, you
I
improve
don't.
the team.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. Thorsten's definitely
Yeah.
an upgrade for
So
sure.
so
And
you didn't get you
I
didn't
saw
get
Thorsten in
worse.
Vegas look really good. He
Yeah.
looked real sharp. I saw him play Chang
So
Jun Lin in the Predator event, and I tell you, like, he did not look intimidated. He was going and giving Chang all he can go and handle, and ended up
yeah.
sending him to the loser side
Yeah.
late night too, where he was definitely an underdog there, Mike. And I don't know. The Cole brothers are a different animal. The
Mhm.
Cole brothers remind me of like two Joshes. And I know what Sam said as far as like maybe they're not like in pre-COVID rhythm or maybe had that
Mhm.
same intimidation factor, but I've seen a lot of guys coming back from taking a year off where it took them a good 6 months plus to look as good as the Cole brothers do right now, and really they've only
Right.
had what 2 events under their belt, if
Two
that.
events,
Right.
yes, actually two
Yeah.
And
events.
So
you know, if you look at the Fargo ratings for the team, they're the top. They're the two that have the highest. They're both over 800, and
Yeah.
so they've got the highest rating of any team out there. So yeah, well, neither one of them, Josh. Uh, it's two players on a team, and there's certainly no weak link with Bo brothers.
no, I mean, you can't go and the synergy between brothers, right? You can't go and replace from anything, even if you're, David
Yes.
Al-Kaidi and FSR, right? As good of friends
Yes.
Right.
as they are. Yeah, I like that Fargo rate, and I try to get that graphic from Phil Capel, but my internet's just giving me a hard time right now. But yeah, it's an interesting talking point, Mike, because I think collectively they're at number one, and that would put
Right.
Germany in at number four. Is that right?
Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It,
Torsten's
it-
under 800. Not by much, but he's under 800, right?
you're right. But you really start splitting hairs there, because then at the end of it, you think
Yeah.
about the game, and it's one on the spot 9 ball winner break. So it's like, is it going to be weighted a whole lot? I don't know. Like, if listen, I've been known to gamble a little bit, boys. I got to tell you, I
Yeah.
really, I really like Chinese Taipei's ability to go and get there. I just do, and it's more because of Thorsten. I think he's the biggest unknown for me. And I know what we saw
Mhm.
today, but I'm not going to give it a whole lot of weight until I just see a little bit more. And when you let's be realistic, when you got New Zealand sitting across from you, it's easy to kind of
Mhm.
be free stroking. When you got
Yeah.
two Taiwanese
Yeah.
monsters
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
from you, right, Sam? I mean,
Strongly agree. Strongly agree. I mean, the thing that you rightly pointed here, Mike, is playing as brothers. They actually play like one person. Okay,
yeah,
and they know each other, and they don't care if they make mistakes. They're that harmonized, and they trust in each other's abilities and their own. So they're a beast out there. So
Yeah.
it's a good point, because they did make some mistakes, but even whenever they did, they were still laughing. They were still kind of,
yes,
they had a really good spirit about them, despite, I mean, they were getting
exactly,
wins, right? So it's easy to go and smile when you
exactly.
dog it, and then you still get the
Mhm,
W at the end of the rack. But
mhm.
like that demeanor, Mike, is really refreshing, especially going into the next round when you got the machine coming up, and
Yeah.
Josh
Well,
Butler.
it's it goes to there's something real about the chemistry between teammates in a Scotch double pool thing. No doubt about it. And you're right. When one of the co-misses, you know, he doesn't apologize to the other one. The other one look at him funny. What they know how to just keep moving that. You see some of these other teams where these guys don't play together all the time, and you can kind of tell, when one makes a mistake, they look like they want to beat themselves up, or the other guy's having to carry them. You can kind of see it in their faces a little bit here and there.
Oh,
But the really good teams, they know how to just, they don't ever apologize for a shot they missed. They don't ever apologize for bad shape. They don't.
true.
It's just move on to the next shot, and that takes a little
Exactly.
bit of getting used to, I think, for teammates to do that. And certainly, if you're brothers and you practice all the time together like they do, it's got to be like second nature, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it can really be a crazy bag of emotions, right? Because if you're the guy who didn't miss, but your teammate let you down, you don't want to show like you're annoyed. And then if you're the one who
Right.
missed,
Right.
you let your teammate down, so you don't want to go and not only that, but have that, have that look about you that you're already
Teammates can
defeated.
sense that. Teammates can sense that real easily. I mean, if we can sense it watching, I can imagine what it's like when the guy's sitting next to you. So it does really make a difference. These guys who play together all the time, or who just seem to mesh together well, whatever. So, um, you know, got
I think that's going to be a premier matchup, and I know we
yeah,
always
for
say
sure.
like the cream rises to the top in events, but given the chalk, I
Mhm.
mean, this is the matchup that, looking into the second round, this is the one that looks juiciest to me. But there were other matchups that went on today, including Albania versus Italy, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, boys, I didn't watch a whole lot, but it looked like Baser and Kachi were picking up right where they left off from last year, and they did look good last year, because Baser carried Kachi last year in the World Cup. The kid was playing very, very well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had my Italy shirt, on today. I was pulling for the boys, but they, they played like the Italian army fights. Um,
Yeah.
so they didn't look very good, and that was another kind of like free
It
stroking
wasn't happening
opportunity
for
for
them.
the
It wasn't
for the
happening for those.
Albanians. So that it's going to be interesting to see. We talked a little bit about the fighter weight, but one thing I did notice, as far as teams in that top 10, top 15 type of range, the biggest spread between the number one player and the number two player was Albania.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
there's, Fargo is in the mid 750s. So I just thought, means nothing. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
No, I think it would if he didn't have matchroom experience, but I don't know, boys. I saw him last year. That kid carried Kachi in a lot of spots in that event. I mean, he carried him where you would think like Kachi's going to be the one to kind of take that kid across the finish line, and he didn't. I mean, he was giving it his all and making clutch shots, and that was one thing that really stuck out to me. Sam, I don't know if you watched it or not, Sam, but if you did, was it more of like the Italians never get any kind of rhythm, or were the Albanians more of just punishing them from the break and getting out?
Uh, I've seen parts of that game, but the it was they got chances. The
Yeah, I
Italians,
saw the
I
Italians at the
must say,
table a fair amount.
yeah, they got to the table a fair amount, but they did not convert. Okay, and Albania made quite some mistakes as well,
Yeah,
catchy namely, and but it's just they kept on getting rolls, and at the end they were able to convert and made the win.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a team who didn't get the win, who was barking a lot coming into today, and that was the Canadians against Team USA, and that was
Right,
and that was
Maple.
that was the premier matchup for the day, and maybe we're saying it, Sam, because we're here and we're homers. But
Uh,
Alex, and to his social media genius credit, was really pumping up that match, much to the delight of Emily and Matchroom. But they ain't never showed up. I mean, just from the beginning, they never showed up. What was your takeaway from it, Panozzo?
Well, I mean, the U.S. got out to it, jumped out just like you expected them to do. Um, you know, Controlled the first 3, 4 games, and Canada had a shot early on and didn't convert. They weren't getting great looks, but they had a couple where they got on the ball that they needed to work through the rack, and always managed to run long end shape or bump a wrong ball or miss a shot, whatever it was. Yeah, they didn't look in rhythm. They didn't look comfortable. They didn't look excited. Um, they kind of looked like two guys who don't know each other really well, to be honest with you.
What say you, Sam?
uh, listen, I didn't feel comfortable. I mean, I was expecting more from Alex, but Alex was kind of there, made few good shots, but who was out of coverage? Mora couldn't get there, could not lift a single bit. Had major mistakes, like made some balls, but with major positional errors. Could not support Alex. It seems that Alex had put the pressure on himself and his teammate,
Yeah.
and could not put where uh, his money where his mouth was. So
Yeah,
it was big
Well, he
pressure
wrote
from
he
him.
wrote a big check. He wrote a real big check coming into it, saying that we're not only going to beat the Americans, but I'm calling my shot. We're winning the World Cup this year. And they,
Yeah,
to me, they've always been that team to really under deliver with consistency.
yeah.
A team
Yeah.
that reminds me of that was, I think, last year or the year before, and it was the Russians. And it was a young Federer and I forgot that kid's name. But
Sergey
yeah,
Lusker.
yeah, Sergey, yeah, and I expected a lot of them, showed up
mhm,
flat, but it's that times 5 to 7 years worth of lackluster results to kind of show for it. There were times, like Sam said, where Alex was going and picking it apart. I remember early on, Alex hit a great bank and opened up a ball,
Yeah, it was a
and
great
and it
shot.
it was a beautiful like one pocket move where he just nudged it, and you think, okay, everything's open, they're gonna go and get in rhythm, and then John moves a four ball and blocks the pocket, and
exactly,
then it's
exactly.
unnecessary. Um, I don't know if it's from lack of experience of playing or going deep on matchroom events, but that table just seemed to get the better of them positionally, and it was
Yeah,
amazing to me because when I saw the Americans have an open table, I knew it. They were out. You just saw
yeah,
their confidence
yeah.
that they were going to get there. When I saw the Canadians get there or have an open table, it was like, okay, they should, but
Mistake
but
coming.
then yeah, and it
Yeah,
was the
where's it
craziest
coming?
the missed 7 ball, which was mind blowing after John, put the cue ball on the rail, which I just could not believe. Like you don't expect errors like that.
Yeah,
But I did go and notice, Shane's break did not look that great. Sky
no,
looked very, very clutch. And I tell you, like
Yeah.
if you can keep Sky in that free stroke and delivering kind of mode, and if Shane cannot put all that top spin on the ball like he had been doing, but still go and deliver, you boys better watch out because and I'm not that guy. Panozzo knows I'm not the homer of this duo, but they look like they can be real tough.
yeah. Alex
They look
played. I mean, Sky played really well. He, as far as pocketing balls, I thought his
yes.
break was a little suspect early on too, but
It was.
they did both. Neither one of them broke particularly well. The first rack, Shane broke like a monster. His next
Uh-huh.
three racks, the cue ball ended down at the bottom rail all three times. But they were, if they had an open look at the ball, Sky was knocking it down, and then they were off and running from there. So, you know,
They have
positionally and playing shots, they looked great. And that Shane's going to get his break figured out by the next time they played.
exactly, and the table will be more generous. Now, nothing to add on the U.S. team. They seemed very strong and solid. But going back to the Canadian team, I've never felt. You rightly said that they consistently failed. And is it the? I don't see that harmony going on between Alex and John Mora. There are other players in Canada, and I don't know why aren't they being considered? Like they have the Stephen Hollem, Stephen Follen, and some other players that could have
Joe
been
Spence and
a diff.
Steven. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you. This could add in different dynamics. I mean, it's just not working. It has not been working between.
yeah. I don't know. Alex is, he's good theater. Um, I don't know at what point you bail on that because, for Matchroom, this is an event, much more than it is to them. That's why Ephraim was going to be there. People like that. I mean, this is a really good, entertaining programming for them.
Yep.
So I think it'd take a lot to get Alex out of there. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, I'm trying to block the spam on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
I
sorry
mean,
about
I mean,
everyone
I
who's having
say,
to see that.
I say, keep
Well, those are
Alex.
mine.
I
Those are
say,
Yeah,
keep Alex, but change Mora. Mora has been more of the slick and take your time kind of player. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see Mora performing well under like a shot clock.
yeah.
I, I think something's got to go and give. You can't keep on having these kind of results and still go and have your seat. We saw it a few years back when even the great Shane Van Boning did not get invited to the World Cup of Pool and was replaced by Billy Thorpe to kind of shake things up. And Shane took a lot of offense to that move. And look how he's responded. I don't know who I would consider. I guess and I don't want to disrespect anyone. Who I would go and consider maybe a weak link of that duo, but that chemistry certainly never seems to be there, and it's always the case. Um, Even whenever, like I said, whenever they had chances, I could not believe that it was that bad, And um, I think John's been playing some great pool individually. Alex,
Hmm.
you know,
For
I don't
sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, even whenever like I go back to him in Buffalo to the one pocket, but it's like I haven't really seen him in full like rotation stroke, let alone in one pocket stroke, and but I don't know if I'll ever see that same old Alex because he doesn't have a big break and he never really seems to get comfortable on those slick kind of conditions and polished balls and the 4-inch pockets. I don't know, but something's got to go and give.
Yeah,
I agree, shaking it up, maybe going with the Joe and Steven may go and do the trick. I don't think it would hurt any because listen, if you're consistently going out in that first round, then what does it
Yeah,
matter? At
yeah, right.
least go
You're
and see what
not getting
someone
much.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not getting much entertainment value out of that, anyways, right?
Well, I mean, you're getting all your money's worth on social media, but that's about the gist of it
Yeah,
from it, and
Well,
um
Alex hasn't honestly hasn't been Alex ever since that miss on the 9 ball. Everything okay. He's been playing well on the one pockets and stuff, but on the rotational games, especially the big events, Alex hasn't been Alex. I mean,
he's got a twitch to him. I don't know what it is, but he does this like body English thing when shooting the ball,
yes,
and
yes,
when he's in stroke and the balls are going in, it's one thing, but when he's not, I mean, it really exposes him. And to be fair, like they never really got a chance. That lag between Shane and John was really close, and before they knew it, it was like 3 or 4 to 0, like in a
yeah,
flash.
yeah,
yep,
yeah,
But it's like even when I think in the first 4 racks, I think they only had 2 jump shots, or something like that.
yeah,
So, USA did their job early on, but they had like zero rhythm, zero chemistry. They were the only reason why they even got the one on the board was because Shane scratched on the break, and gave him ball in hand. But
yeah,
even when those tables were open, like I expect more out of Team Canada, especially when you go embark like that. But like I said, it's gonna make for an interesting showdown. And this matchup tomorrow, but it'll be Poland and Hong Kong who will face
yeah.
Team USA. And I got to tell you, man, I love that matchup because Poland, in the world champion, and who was it? Conrad,
yeah.
right? Yeah, and
Uh,
Conrad.
Uh,
yeah.
Conrad and Fortunsky.
No, 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 no. It's
No,
Wojciech
this is
and
yeah. Wojciech
yeah.
and Wojciech and
Uh,
Conrad.
oh, and Fortunsky and
Oh, yeah,
Fortunsky.
Wojciech
Yeah.
and Misko. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
I I
Yes.
I love that dynamic. I love you want to talk about switching it up because it was always Conrad and Mitsko going and playing together. Now they're going and changing it, bringing in Wojcik, which
the
I think
world
is
champ.
great. And
Yeah.
exactly, Mike. He's a world champion. Let the guy go and get a shot. Um, but they've been one of those teams that have under delivered. And I tell you, when I think about young stars in pool, no two names come to mind like the Hong Kong duo of Robbie Capito and Loho Sum.
Yeah, yeah. That's you wonder, how deep they can go in this, being as young as they are, but they can certainly wreak some havoc for sure. I mean, that's a pretty sporty duo.
Who do you like out of that matchup, Sam?
Uh,
Poland versus Hong Kong slash
yeah, I'm
China.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. I mean,
Mike can
that's
handicap it for you if you want.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I know what Hong Kong has to bring to the table, but I kind of think Poland are a bit more comfortable and a bit more experienced within in matchroom events. So maybe that'll give him a slight edge, but we'll see tomorrow. But still, Hong Kong is a deadly team as well with those duo like
Yeah,
Piro and in Loho Sam. Yeah.
yeah.
There
Uh,
was another matchup in the day of Hungary and Czech Republic, and they're in that same area of the bracket. And then you want to talk about teams that just completely fell flat for me, and those two were it. So I really like the winner of that USA and whoever wins between Poland and Hong Kong to make it to the final. I'll just be honest with you. The USA looked that kind of dynamic and with that kind of upside because if Shane can go and find the break and the way that Sky went and hit clutch shots, like they look that kind of special. And I know it's early on, but they got history in this event. They've gone deep in it before.
yeah.
But those two teams right above them are no joke, and they're very serious.
Oh,
Um, Poland's been coming, Mike.
yeah, whoever wins that match is going to be, like you said, probably the biggest test for the U.S. before the final. If they can get through that, they would have a pretty good shot.
Poland has
Um,
has been bringing some real good players and real strong performances like all over. Whether it's 9 ball,
yeah,
10 ball, doubles, they're out there
yeah,
and
they're starting to hit their stride pretty good.
exactly.
But on both of those teams, you don't know, you won't know till tomorrow what the real dynamic between the players is, because it is alternating shots, and it is that, not worrying about if, getting down on yourself if you leave partner a bad shot. That kind of growing pains with playing together. Neither of these teams really played together much that I'm aware of. So it
I don't
will be
think so.
interesting to
I've
see.
never seen him. Yeah, I've never seen him either,
Yeah.
Mike.
So it's going to be interesting to see who's more comfortable playing together. I don't know if it'll be obvious or not, but that'll be a telltale sign to me.
What helps is having good anchors on your team, right? What Josh is to Thorsten, or maybe what Shane is to Sky. I think that's what Fortunski is going to be uh, to Wojciech, because I've seen Fortunski over the last couple of months come with big shots against big names, being underdog against Jason Shaw, and I mean just hitting like tough shot after tough shot on 4-inch pockets and just coming clutch.
Yeah.
They got a little bit of history because if I'm not mistaken, Loho Sum was the one that sent Mitsuko out of the World Pool Masters. So there's a little bit of a storyline there. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So I'm really looking forward to that matchup. But the last match of the day, boys, today was Spain versus Australia. And
Mm.
Sam, what was your takeaway from that match?
I haven't watched this. Yeah, I saw it on the end, and it was like 6-1, and it seemed that it was one-way traffic. I heard the commentary, and it was one-way traffic. The Australians were having fun, and like enjoying the moment and like
Yeah.
laughing it out.
That's a long way to go for one match, man. I'll tell you what. Jeez.
I know. I mean, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Also, I mean,
Shoes.
imagine that's like the longest distance covered, and
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, it's
Brutal. But yeah, Spain's. That's a pretty sporty duo too, right there.
I mean, there's expectations with Spain. You got guys who
Yeah.
are
Big.
vying for Mosconi Cup points, and I know this isn't going to go towards that. So, but my point is that we've seen FSR kind of be maybe the bridesmaid to David every year, right? Kind of being that second player behind David, where now
yeah,
he's maybe taking his place being the number one out of
right.
Spain. A lot of people really like them coming out of the left side, including Panozzo, right, Mike? I think you like them making it all
Yeah.
the way to the finals.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, and so I think they have to go and make some waves. Their side of the bracket is pretty generous. They'll be facing Albania in the next round, and I know they know each other, but you gotta love Spain.
Mhm.
They look like they kind of caught their stride like mid match, but you're gonna have to catch your stride from the beginning once you start getting deeper and deeper in this tournament. The only thing is that that next area right above them, we haven't seen any of those teams go and play. Whether it's the Philippines, who's now been replaced by what is it, Thailand?
Thailand.
Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all know anything about the players who replaced them? Because I know I don't.
Snooker players, very
Snooker
strong
players.
snooker. Yeah.
You
Uh,
find some Thai snooker players living in the UK, and you give
yeah.
them cab fare, and next thing you know, you got a team.
Yeah.
From
I mean, I
offering
don't blame. I
food
mean,
and
there really weren't a lot of other options, right?
Very, very strong players, and I believe potting ability is there. But I kind of think with this classic rack, they're gonna find difficulties in break, because the break is key in this format, and I don't see them breaking. We'll just wait and see. But if it
But,
works for them, they might be. Uh,
but plus, you have alternating shots. So these are guys who don't play nine ball to start with. Now they got
yeah.
to start thinking about how they're going to leave their partner. It could be pretty interesting.
right. These guys
Yeah.
are going to be pushing out the jump shots, and they're not going to know what the hell they're doing. I mean, you name it. Yeah, it's I'll tell you this: like, if they're going to be facing a South African team, and I don't mean, I know Jason Theron, I'm assuming is going to be on that team, and he's a hell of a player. But it's like at least it's not a dominating force like maybe let's
Right,
say a
right.
Spain or a Netherlands or a Germany. Going
Yeah.
and facing a South African team, you never know. If a couple of lucky rolls go and happen, or you steal a game or two, and
Mm.
you're able to go and run out. You got a puncher's chance, but you really got
Yeah.
to like the South African team to go and deliver.
Well, the
I
Thai
think
team's playing with house money, right? So
they're free rolling. Yeah, I mean they're
yeah,
getting what, a free
Yeah.
couple
100%.
thousand just for showing up.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you really got to love them. I know we touched base on the Poland and Hong Kong matchup already. Greece versus Cyprus. I don't know, boys. I don't know anybody on that Cyprus team. I couldn't pick them out of a lineup, and I watch a lot of pool.
Well, all you need to know about the Cyprus team is that they were the lowest rated Fargo team on the
Is that right,
list.
Mike?
Yeah. There are a couple not rated, and Morocco does have a 568 player, so um, you got to
Wow,
wonder
a
what's going to happen there.
568.
568. Nate could have played on that team. Um,
Nate could give
so
Well,
him weight.
maybe
listen,
him
listen.
wait.
Uh,
So yeah, but Cyprus, yeah, I don't know anything about either player to tell you the truth, but the numbers don't look good.
for Morocco, though, uh, they play English eight ball.
English eight ball.
That is like the it game in Morocco. Small 7 footers, and I don't see them. I don't see them performing. Yeah, they got.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
No, I don't like them against that Netherlands team because I think they're
Nah, yeah,
they're they're my they're my sleeper with Mark and Niels, if you can even go and call them that. And I think they're
yeah,
both just extremely tough players. The Greece players, Nico's being back with Alex, they ought to go and win. And on paper they're going to be huge favorites to go and beat Cyprus. I
hmm
tell you what though, they better go and deliver. I know what I can get out of Alex. Alex has been great the last couple of years. Um, I don't think he's going to shake on that stage. I don't think he's going to go and shake under those
right,
lights. I think he's
right.
going to look as sharp as ever. And it's a good kind of way to grease your wheels, right, and get ready for that
Yeah,
next round. And just get used to acclimated to the table and the conditions and the break and all that fun stuff.
right.
But in the afternoon, the premier matchup is going to be that GBA versus Great Britain B team. What do you
Yeah.
like out of there, Sam?
Uh, I, I don't know who plays for GBA and B.
So
Seriously.
GBA is going to be Jason Shaw and Elliot Sanderson, and then Great Britain B is going to be Imran and Chris Melling.
right.
Wow. Chris Melling's appearances have been a bit disappointing lately. So uh,
Yeah,
uh, comparing to the expectation, what he might bring to the table, maybe his attention has gone to English eight ball lately, and
yeah,
that's where
for sure.
his focus is taken off the nine ball. So I think uh, Great Britain A, just because of Shaw. I don't know the other player, by the way.
Elliot's
I don't
good,
know.
good, good young player.
Yeah, I think
So
he's solid. Go ahead, Mike.
yeah, yeah, no, he's a solid player, and if Imran is having to carry Team A and Jason's carrying Team B,
Mhm.
I'm running my money on Team B.
Okay.
That's interesting. I I'm gonna agree with you, Mike, and I thought I would be the only
You
one
don't
who would
have
like
to.
Great Britain. No, because I like Great Britain B. I think there's a storyline in Jason and Chris. I think both of them are gonna have kind of a chip on their shoulder,
Right,
where Jason wanted to have a different partner, and maybe Chris might have taken a bit of offense to it, even though they're great friends off the table. Their chemistry on the table certainly never gelled. Imran shocked the hell out of everyone going deep in the UK
right,
Open.
right.
Was the last, I think, Brit standing, if I'm not mistaken, Mike,
Yeah,
right?
was. Yep,
Um, so he's got a bit of a rhythm to him already right now. Elliott's a great player. I think he's very underrated. I think it'll be a great matchup, but I'm with you. I just for some reason I like that B team to be able to shock them, and I don't know if you can call it a shock because as much as Jason's resume is great, he hasn't done well in this event,
right.
and
Yep.
I know they both been playing a lot of pool, and Chris is back playing English eight ball, but Chris is a great nine ball player whenever he's playing nine ball, and he's exciting to go and watch. And maybe sometimes to where he shoots himself in the foot trying to be too exciting or go for that crazy shot. But I think they're both gonna want to like bear down and show the other one up, where it's like I didn't need you, I can go and do it without you kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely it's definitely going to be interesting to watch the dynamic between the two of them during the match.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of chemistry, you got an Estonia team versus Serbia, and I tell you, I don't know who is going to be Dennis Graves' partner, but I like that Serbian team. I like them a lot. And if Dennis is going to have a new partner, he better go and deliver because Mark Maggie, I know they didn't get along so well, but they were a pretty decent team that were right on that cusp of being able to get over the that next step. I felt like
Yeah, yeah. I don't know anything about his partner, Rainer Lar.
never heard of
Um,
them.
don't know anything about him. Um, you know,
Interesting.
if you go by Fargo, he's sub 700. So, um, yeah,
Well,
Dennis is gonna have to come with the goods in that match. You would think.
well, if Dennis is gonna have to carry a partner who's not delivering, you better watch out because the wheels may go and fall off sooner than later with Dennis because he's been known to get
Yeah,
emotional and known to get on tilt. And speaking of players who get on tilt, Mika Immonen in Finland against an Austrian team who maybe ought to be number ones, Max Lechner and Albin Ocean. Sam, what do you like out of this matchup?
Austria.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Albin playing alongside Max Lechner, but I could assume that they have practiced together and they're both strong. And I think we'll find different dynamic out of this team, just different than what we are used to between Albin and Mario Hay. So uh, I think Austria will come up on top of Finland.
what say you, Mike?
I mean that's where the money would be. But I think Finland. I don't know anything about Mika's partner, but Mika's been playing some fun pool in the past 6-8 months, and he's fun to
Longer.
watch when he catches that gear.
Very.
And is firing balls in from all over the place, and he could make you a little bit afraid if you're on the other side, of the match if he gets rolling. If he can get a teammate who doesn't make any glaring errors, that it would be a fun upset.
I love Mika's style of play because he plays like he's down by 20 games and he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
He's firing at anything and everything and is exciting. And I think it's a complete contrast of styles because you're going to see Albin and Max maybe play the quote unquote right shot and maybe duck when, they could go and fire. Um, I don't know what I'm going to get out of that team though. I know they've been really good friends off the table and have been spending a lot of time together. I saw them out in Vegas, and everywhere you look, they were kind of like that David and FSR, where they were always together. Um, I know what I got out of Mario and Albin, but I don't know what I'm going to get out of Max and Albin. Um, Albin's a winner. Albin's clutch. Albin's a world champion. The list goes on and on. Max has been a little up and down on the matchroom stage, so
yeah.
having a guy like Albin in your corner is certainly going to help you out. But it's like, okay, this isn't where you're surprising anyone. It's my daughter's in the background. There's expectations with
She's a
this
big Mario
Austrian
He
team.
fan. That's why you're hearing from
Yeah, yeah,
her.
yeah. No, she really is. The panda. No, but there's expectations when you're playing for Team
Yeah,
Austria on this stage.
there's some
So
heat on Max taking Mario's place on that team for sure.
I thought a few years ago that Max should have taken Mario's spot, but then I think that Mario's been playing pretty well lately to where I was
Yeah,
surprised by this move. That was my thought. And I remember telling Max this like 2 or 3 years ago in Vegas, the World Championship. I said, "Man, you ought to be on that team," And in my head, it was replacing Mario, but it. I didn't think it was now. Um, but we're gonna see, and you're right, Mike. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on him. I know that Janny, I think if is gonna be Mika's partner, and I've seen him play a little bit. Um, Mika's just gonna be fun to watch. They're gonna be firing at you. You're gonna be dodging bullets when you're playing against that team. That's just the way it's gonna be.
yeah.
And I think that if there's gonna be an upset, that's gonna be the one where you may see maybe a number one team kind of go down, because it seems to kind of set up that way, but it hasn't been the case so far, boys. That's for sure.
No,
Yeah.
no. I'll chalk on day one.
All right, so if you were gonna pick a winner coming out of day one, to win it all, just from day one.
Tough call there. Watching.
Tough call.
Oh, I know what tough call is for you, Mike. I don't even gotta ask you. I know who
No,
you're
I
going
mean,
with.
look. I didn't pick USA to win this.
I
Last week.
like
I
I
mean,
like
it's
the U.S. chances. I like the chances of the U.S. team.
USA
The way
played
they
today. Germany played today and Spain played today. You want me to pick one of those three?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yikes!
Come on, Mike. Come on.
I,
We got one
I
USA
still
pick.
I'm going Spain still. That's what I had. That's what I had from the start.
My
It's too
eyes
early.
say Team USA, but then my head says look at the bracket and look at the walk it's going to have to be to get there, to get to the finals, and USA is going to be up against it. Spain, I think, has a much softer draw. You got Germany facing a Chinese Taipei team. Those are going to be the three that we're going to go and pick from, right? All of us. Um, I guess I would have to go with Spain just because of the draw, but my heart and my eyes say that the two best players today were the red, white, and blue. As crazy as that is, they
Yeah,
played phenomenal, and I'm real excited. This is a fun event, and it's going to be a great day too to go and watch. I'll be up early. Sam's got the benefit of a different time zone, so it'll be more
Yeah,
convenient for him. Panozzo was
exactly.
always up early, so we don't got to worry about Mike
yeah.
being up to go and
I'm
watch.
old. When you're old, you get up early.
So
Yeah. I'm
we
there with
appreciate
you.
you. Yeah.
I'm not very far. So.
I'm getting up at 5, boys. So I'm definitely
Me
gonna be
too.
watching, and I'm looking forward to it. Sam, I really appreciate you joining us today. I know it was kind of last minute, but this has been a lot of fun, and I hope you can join
Hey,
us again later on in the week
yeah,
and talk some more pool.
excellent. I would love to. I would love to. It's
Yeah,
great.
a
Awesome,
lot of fun, Sam.
Pinozo. We appreciate you also, Mike, and thanks a lot for always coming on and helping out. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
nothing
see
better
what's
to
up
do.
tomorrow, boys.